on the flip side of that, we hear all of these things from different people, and the people that are giving us that advice, they're just giving it to us from their own lived experience. And so it's up to us to figure out and to be discerning of like, is that a right fit for me? Like, does that actually make sense for me or not? You know, like, is that how I want to live my life or not? And
shit happens. Shit happens to you and me. It doesn't matter if you're a wizard, a king, or a queen. Even if you are magic, you gotta agree. It's worth it to talk shit out, no matter how messy.
Welcome to Shit Happens, where shit always happens and no shit is too insignificant to discuss. From trivial inconveniences to life's profound challenges and everything in between, this show explores every aspect of the unpredictable nature of existence with your favorite shit talker and host, P.
Yeah, it's P.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Shit Happens, where shit always happens. And my guest just came, and I'm so happy to be hanging out with this special human being because I've missed her. I haven't been around her presence in a minute, and it's always good vibes when I'm with her. She has been on Talk Show with P, and now we're going to talk about something that most of us need to do, but we're just not sure how to do it. But with no further ado, let me bring on the one and only. Hi, go ahead. Welcome to Shit Happens.
thank you for having me.
How you doing? I miss that voice of yours. Oh my God.
I don't know where you've been, but there's that. I'm just saying.
I've been around, I've been around in the streets. the streets needed me.
The streets need, but you know what, girl? It's okay. We need you too, though. So if you could come back to me, thank you.
I got you. How have you been, Miss Traveler? Because where are you right now, actually? But wait, home. I see the painting. I was like, I see the painting. I remember I made a comment about the painting of your studio. So I'm like, okay, you're home now.
You like my painting?
I love it. It fits you.
It's a good. It does. You know what it does? It pulls in the branding. You know.
It does.
But no, I'm good. I just did a podcast interview. So that was fun. That was super fun.
Nice. For your podcast, or were you a guest?
No, I was a guest.
Nice. You're just guesting today. Whose podcast was this?
Literally, I'm like a guest over here, interview over here, interview over there. So yeah, no, it's been a really fun day. It's been a really fun
You want to give the shout out to the interview you just did?
Yes. Yes, I would absolutely love to. It was a really fun podcast episode. He's done like 25 different interviews. I think he said he's released like 7 of them so far. But the show is called Business Amplified.
I love it.
So definitely check that out.
Nice. And I can see why they would want you as a guest, because boss woman, you killing it. Like, and that's what we're gonna dive into, because I feel like transforming yourself or your brand or your business is very important in the growth of yourself. Mm-hmm. But there's something about that word transforming. Like, why the fuck do I need to transform myself? Like, I'm perfect. Like, I don't need no transformation. What do you mean? Like, you know? There's that fear when people hear that word transforming, like, you know. So, but you recently have been doing a lot of transforming in your personal life and in your business work. Like, you just revamped your entire, we went from Simona Costantini Production to Volt Productions and a lot of other transforming in your personal. So, let's talk about why it's important to transform yourself or your business and dive into that.
I love that. Okay, so I think that we are constantly growing. We're always expanding. We're always tapping into something new. And I think that, you know, the more for myself, like the more that I learn about myself, the more that I become more me. And so like, it might look like transformation on the outside, but like for me, it just feels like the next right step, you know? But you know what's so funny though? I literally took a look at my life last year, and apparently I was like, burn it all down. Like, let's burn it down and restart again. And I was like, okay, let's try again. And, you know, it was just a full, like, it was just like a full extension of who I am, you know, and why we transform. I think honestly, we develop like a little bit of awareness, and then that bit of awareness turns into self-awareness. And then I think that self-awareness turns into different ways of doing things. Right. And then when it's an idea, like when you know better, you do better. Right. So why are we going to constantly stay the same all the time when there's a more aligned version of us, or a happier version of us, or a more empowered version of us, right? Why stay the same? I think if we stay the same too much, it's a fear-based tactic to not stepping into our full purpose and potential.
That's so true. Like, I live in everything you said, because I'm all about growth, right? And I tell people it's funny that the reason why I keep podcasting and having these conversations is because from these conversations, I personally get to grow and
Yes.
and realize the person I am. Like, because after having that conversation, I start questioning myself, like, am I really doing this because I love it, or am I doing this because the norm told me? Do I really want to be here? Like, oh my God, I can actually be this person. And sometimes we don't know that that's the person we want to be until we are in that space or having those conversations, and you realize, like, yo, I want to be more of that and less of this, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, you also say when you look back to your life last year, it's like you were burning it down. So last year, my life was being burnt down, not by me, but this year I'm burning down my own life, and for a specific purpose of, like, I need to make all these crazy changes, and I call it the year of possibilities. I want all these possibilities, but I'm not going to get them if I'm just stuck in that space that I'm comfortable, that place where I think I'm supposed to be. And literally, like, I have a one-way ticket next week going somewhere new, and I don't know when I'm coming back. I don't know what my plan is. I'll tell you offline, because I'm trying to surprise a few people, so I don't want people knowing. I'm gonna be gone. It might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks, who knows? But I'm like, but I've been here, right? And shit ain't working. So maybe I need to go there, and see what opportunity there's. Because what do I have to lose, right?
Well, I feel the exact same way. And like, you know, everyone always laughs because like I'm always like traveling around somewhere, doing something or whatever. But like my soul wants to go. Like, I want to go and experience new things. Like, I really value the ability that we have as human beings to literally go anywhere we want, whenever we want to. I think a lot, you know, I've been doing a lot of this like back and forth in my mind of like, do we live our life in the way that we live it because that's the way we want to live it? Or is that what somebody else has told us about ourselves and who and how we should be and how we should live? And, you know, we should always live close by to family, you know, because it's, you know, that's the only way. And like community is important. Like, of course, community is important, but like, you know, do we stop doing the things that we want to do or going the places we want to go because it's more comfortable for somebody else? Right? Like, at what point do we owe it to our own selves to step outside of that box and actually do what we want to do for ourselves? So like, I travel a lot because I want to, you know, like that's my soul's journey though. Like, that's the growth that and the path that I want to take. And, you know, I heard this quote the other day and it said something like, you know, you want it so badly in your life because there's a version of you that already has it. And I loved that because that makes everything accessible to us in our lives, no matter what it is we want, always.
So true. And I envy how you travel. Like, I am big on travel, right? I have traveled internationally. I've moved countries. I've lived in places. But right now I'm stuck because of American government and shit that I have to deal with. So I can't travel as much. internationally, but
Right.
also I'm limited in America because funds, right? Financial. But when
Yeah.
I see people who have that accessibility and they're still not doing it, it's like I want to like bang their heads like, what the hell are you doing? Because if I had that, I would not even be in the same place every time. Like I'll just be
Yeah.
hopping and hopping and hopping because
Yeah.
and the thing is, you talked about the norms that we have, right? And me also coming from Tanzania, where we are taught like as a girl, you should learn to be in the kitchen and cook, right? And then you go to college, you're supposed to come back home, get a job. Even if you don't get a job, the most important is get a man, get married, right? And then have kids, and then be miserable in that marriage until you die. Like that's the norm. So when you're like,
No
I'm
thanks.
gonna be I'm gonna be
No
35. I'm gonna be 35, and people look at me with this pity. Oh my God, you've never been married. You don't have kids. You're gonna be 35, and I'm like, okay, but you do know that people have gotten married and have gotten divorced, right? Like
Yes.
that does not determine your success, right? You know, people have had kids with people and ended up being single parents because the other parent decided I no longer want to be a parent. Like there's a return policy, and just check that out, right? And you know,
It's
there are
so
people
true.
who are in that corporate job that you think that having a corporate job is what being successful means, but they're dying and they're killing themselves because of depression, because they think if I don't have this, my identity is lost or I'm not successful. And you're here telling me because I am happy with myself and I'm finding the life that I want, just because it doesn't look the norm that we are taught to, means I'm not successful. So those things.
So
And by the way, I've been engaged 4 times. It was by my choice not to walk down the aisle. I could have had four divorces right now. Okay.
One is enough. Okay, one is enough. Just tell you.
But there's also the fear of people getting divorced. Like a lot of people, I don't know in America or Canada, but in Tanzania, people stick out on marriages because of that fear of, oh, you are divorced. You look like you have this disease because you are divorced, like you have failed. No, actually, it takes a lot of strength to walk away from everything you have known. Because if you have been married for 20 plus years or 15, like there's so much that goes into that. Even a relationship that's just 2 years, you put so much of yourself and energy and all that. So to walk away from that and everything that it had, that because that was your comfort zone, right? At least you're like, you know what, it's gonna be mad at me, we're gonna shout at each other, but after 2 days we're gonna be happy again. So I will take that. But walking away from that and deciding to rebuild or revamp your life, that takes a lot of strength and actually staying there.
Exactly. 1000%. And I think that we live in this like world that, you know, I mean, it depends on like your culture and stuff like that too. Cause I mean, I come from like an Italian culture where it's like, you know, you get married and you stay married because that's the thing that you do. But I remember telling my ex-husband, when we first started dating, I said to him, if you're looking for a woman who's going to cook and clean for you for the rest of your life, you've picked the wrong girl. Like I am not it. I'm not that person. And it doesn't mean, let me caveat, it doesn't mean that I don't value having a clean house or that I don't cook or whatever. What I meant more was I'm not the person who's going to do all of the household things because that's the role that the woman was, you know, traditionally has. Like, that's just not me. That's not who I am. But I really value those things in my life. Like, I love when my house is clean. I love making food for myself. I love cooking, but it's more of like that expectation piece of like, like, don't expect, like, no, thank you. But I think too, that like, we have a narrative that things have to look a certain way. And if you get a divorce, it's bad. Or if you do something that's outside of the box that is against the traditional norm, it makes it wrong or this or that. And the funny thing is, though, is people have really strong opinions about this kind of stuff, of course. But also, I think that it's up to you to live your life how you want to. Like, you don't have to live your life inside the coloring book lines. Like, you can color outside of that. And that's something that I've been talking about a lot lately on different podcast interviews that I've done, especially, it's this idea and this notion of like, I can literally live outside of the lines because I can. And we forget that we have a choice in life, even though, oh, but I have to go to my job, or I have to do this, or I have kids, or I have this, yes, you might have all of those things. And also, it doesn't mean that you can't do something for yourself on an evening or a weekend. When you don't take the time for you, that's a choice that you're making to not fill your own cup up. And it doesn't mean take every single hour that you have free after you come home from work and ignore your children and your partner and only do stuff for you. But like, I don't think any human should ever feel bad for taking 10, 20 minutes to read a book, or, go for a walk around the block if that's what they want to do, or, sit in the bath for an hour if that's what you need. Like, at what point did society become to this point of like, we have to do things in a certain way, or we can't take care of ourselves. Like, we are the most important people that we have, but we should be taking care of ourselves the most, because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of anything else around you.
So true. And it's funny you say that, because I really hate when women who are mothers keep introducing themselves like, I'm just a mother. Like, no, being a mother is a lot more, and being a mother is not your entire world. I feel like most women feel like once they have kids, like children, like that's my life, that's my entire life. And then they even feel guilty about going on a girls trip or on a night out. Like, oh, I have to ask my husband. I'm like, no, it's not a babysitter. He can take care of the kids. That's his kid. Like, he gets to go to the bar every night with his boys for a beer or two, unapologetically, without feeling sad or sorry. He gets to go on his business trips or whatever. Why do you have to feel sorry? Because this is the norm. We were taught, like, women, we already have to deal with the 9 months of carrying the baby. Like, come on, man. Like, the men should be doing 80% of taking care of the child, since we do the whole process of bringing them into this world healthy. So I like that you say that, and I am very grateful, right? I was allowed child, and I despised the norms from a young kid. Like, I told my dad from the get-go, like, you never get to walk me down the aisle. And it was fucked up because our favorite movie was Father of the Bride. And we were watching it, and I was like, I'm so sorry you never get to do this. Like, because from a young age, I knew I didn't want marriage. Lately, I'm kind of, in between, seeing like, if the right person comes and it's the right time and it feels right, why not? But it's never been that thing, oh, I need to be married at this age, or I need to do, because I saw so many girls who would, even when that age is approaching, oh my God, I'm not married. I'm like, but can you see all these other things you're doing? Like, why does marriage have to be the cherry on the top?
It's this like dream, I think, that we're sold to, especially through like, Disney movies and princess movies and like all this stuff. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I never envisioned, I was never the little girl that was like, oh, plan my wedding dress, like all this stuff.
I never had the wedding book. I'm like,
and
maybe Simona, we should hang out together and do a wedding book for ourselves.
For the business. No, I'm just kidding. I'm married to the business. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But what I was going to say though is, on the flip side of that, even though that's not how I like live my life or anything, it doesn't make it bad for somebody else to do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not a mother. I don't have kids. So I don't know exactly what it feels like to, feel guilty about like leaving them on a weekend, or, feeling like you can't take care of yourself. Like, I don't know what any of that feels like. So it's hard for me to like speak to it. But what I do know is that aside from anything else that we are, even my own self, like aside from being a business owner, aside from all of the other things that I do, I am a human being. And that human being needs to be taken care of. And I have fundamental needs on a soul level that need to be taken care of. So if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of any of the other things. So you can put any of the other things, can be anything. It could be children. It can be a spouse. It can be a business. It can be a job. It could be dog sitting. It can be being a dog mom like I am. It could be any of those things. But without without you at the center, and like without you prioritizing your own self, it's really hard to I don't know, like I just think it's really hard to feel fulfilled and like accomplished in what you do, like if you just let yourself like not fill your own cup up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so true. And I think also one of the reason is most of us are fearful of unlearning the shit we know.
Yeah.
But it's funny that we at this age, most of us are fearful of doing that. But my parents' age, like now, most of my parents or my uncles are unlearning the shit that they installed in us, where we ran with it, and now they're the ones coming like, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I want to learn this, and you're like, but so if they are willing to unlearn, we should also be there like, okay, if that I got that from them and now they're unlearning this shit, that means I should allow myself to unlearn and grow and see. Because sometimes most of us have that potential of being the version of ourselves that we never even expected that we could be. But because of these norms and because of the society and all the things that our mind is telling us, we feel like, no, it could never be me. I could never do that. And that just, I hate seeing that, especially on women. Like, it really pains me because I'm here looking and I'm like, yo, but I literally see the potential. Like, I know you can fucking do it. And it's just like, it just really.
No, but it's true. It's so true. And like, I think that that's one of the things that like, okay, I hear about this a lot. Okay. I hear, oh my God, like, I can't believe, one thing that I hear a lot is, I'm so proud of you for choosing the things that make you happy. Like, I'm so proud of you for choosing like a life that makes you, that feels most aligned to you and all of that. And in my mind, I'm like, I would rather live a life that feels most aligned to me than ever feel like I'm a shell of who I am. You know what I mean? And like, I think that you're spot on when you're saying this stuff and like the norms and these narratives and stuff like that. But on the flip side of that, we hear all of these things from different people, and the people that are giving us that advice, they're just giving it to us from their own lived experience. And so it's up to us to figure out and to be discerning of like, is that a right fit for me? Like, does that actually make sense for me or not? Like, is that how I want to live my life or not? And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do stuff in like a certain way or be a certain way. And it can be hard, especially when people don't necessarily agree with your choices, to like, people will question the things that you do and, be like, oh my God, is this person going to be okay? Like, why is she doing that? She's blowing up her whole life. Like, is everything going to be okay? And it's like, it's hard to explain to people that, everything is totally fine. Like, I'm actually really happy and I feel really good about it. Because if it's not normal to somebody else, it's like, wait, what do you mean? Like, why would you go into that? But then I think about it and I'm like, I feel like the happiest and most aligned version of myself that I've ever been in my life, and it makes me sad that a lot of people don't ever get to feel like that, even though they have a lot of joy and stuff in their life. Like, are you living your life in the most authentic way for you? Like, are you living your life on purpose, essentially?
I remember one time, a long time ago, I read this saying which said, are you living or surviving? And at that time I was really surviving. I wasn't living. And that's when I was like, literally I am. I'm like just on this loop of, I wake up, I do what I'm supposed to do, I come back, I sleep, the next day over and over, and in the year, at the end of the year, I'm like, oh, next year's going to be better. Next year I'm going to do better. Next year I'm going to, but then it's the same. And I was like, I am tired of surviving, right?
Yeah.
Because the world is going to be miserable regardless. There's so much shit that's going to happen in the world. I'd rather be happy with the life I am while dealing with the shit that the world is giving me compared to live this life that I'm surviving and have to deal with the crap the world is giving me.
Exactly. But it's all seasons too, right? Like everything happens. Like there are some seasons where you're like, I just got to exist right now. I just like you have to, you know what I mean? Like
that was last year for me. The end of last year, I was just existing. Like I was just surviving. I was just like, when I tell you that end of last year really beat me this way, this year I was like, I know I'm still gonna have tough seasons but I'm determined to have more fighting seasons than tough seasons, because the end of last year really bet to the extent I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna sleep the whole week, fuck it, that's what I need. If I don't I did not want to go to any Christmas event, be with around family. I did not want to do Thanksgiving because I did not want to pretend I'm happy or have the small talk and people talking about what's going on with your life. And you're like,
just leave me alone.
Like I wanted the food, but I was like,
you're like, can you make me a plate to go and I'll just pick it up on the outside, like on the curb. Thank you so much.
And I did that. And I told everybody, bring me a plate to go. And none of them brought, apart from my mom on Thanksgiving, but none of the people brought me plates. And I felt like that was a fuck you for not being there, which I kind of get. But to me, it was like, the food, yes, I was missing it, but was it worth putting myself in a position where I knew I was just going to be like, I want to be in my bed right now. Like, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to hear the noises of people. I don't want to hear how good some people are doing, because I am not there. And I'm a person who wants to celebrate my friends when they're doing good, because you need, but if I'm not in that position, I'm going to down you and you're going to feel like, oh, she's not happy for me, or she's not celebrating. And I don't want to give you that in your moment of shining. So I'd rather just not be around.
But you know what's interesting too, though, is like, I totally agree with you. And like another thing that's really interesting though, too, is like other people's expectations. It's like, but it's Christmas, like you have to come. And it's like, no, but like, I actually don't. You know, exactly. Like, I actually don't. And it takes away your own power of being able to make your own decisions, right? Like maybe there's a reason why I don't want to be there. Maybe there's a reason why I don't want to come. I even think about like, you know, Easter coming up and I have so much stuff going on, like so much chaos. And like, you know, I come from a family, like my parents are separated and all that. So there's like 95 events for every single holiday, which is amazing. Like I love to see my family, but like, you know, even just thinking of that, that's like, you know, back to back to back of all these different events. And like, I like to, I dog sit on the side. Right. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know that I have dogs here that weekend. Like, how am I going to logistically do it? And I'm like, okay, sometimes I'm just like, you know, I just wish that like I could make that decision just to be like, you know what, I can't do that this year, but like, thank you for inviting me, without getting like backlash. But then it's always like, you know, oh, but like you should, and like you should this and you should that. And it's like, then you start living your life and should. And like, of course you want to be there. And I'm not saying that I don't want to like see my family and like go and do all of those things. Like, absolutely I do. But like, I wish that I could make a choice and not feel guilty about that choice. And that's something that I'm working on. And I've been working on that for like a while, and like trying not to feel guilty for, you know, a decision that's right for me, and saying no, and like, you know, putting up a boundary. Because if you put up a boundary and somebody isn't used to you putting up a boundary, it's like, you know,
Simona acting brand new now.
Yeah. Like, who is she? Stop that. Like, we don't like you like that. We're not used to you like that. Go back to the way that you were. And I'm like, no, but hi, it's me, happiest version of me. And it's like, you know, some people just can't understand that. And so for me, as someone like, you know, I've always been a people pleaser my whole life. And so now it's like, you know, I want to make everybody happy, but like, I want to make me happy more.
That's so true. And I feel that. And also me last year, the same, this thing about when you said, oh, but it's Christmas. That's exactly what I got. They're like, but it's Christmas. You should be around people. That's why I'm even, and this person literally told me, I was feeling the same. And that's why I decided to throw this party, because I want to be around people. And that's fine. Some people, when they're sad, I have sometimes when I'm sad and I'm like, yo, if I continue being here, I'm going to keep on being sad. I need to be around people. And there's sometimes where you don't want to be around people. You just want to be sad in your own sad ways and deal with your own sad way. When I'm sad, I just want to be in bed, order my Uber Eats and watch my favorite TV shows, binge watch them, and just be in my own zone. And maybe have fun on TikTok and watch this funny show, whatever memes. So it was like that guilt they're giving you, like, And then literally also tagging you on pictures and videos like, you should have been here, see what you're missing. And I'm looking and I'm like, I don't want to be rude, but in my head, I'm like, nah, I really ain't missing it. Like, because that's not where I am right now. But thank you for thinking that I would be missing that.
I'll see you on the next one. Like, I'll see you next. No, but it's actually true though. And yeah, there's like this whole idea around like, and I mean, I have to say that like I come from an amazing family. Like my family, like they're amazing people. And it's still like, sometimes I just want to, I just want to be in my house. I travel so much that I want to be in my house. I want to be with my dog. I want to be cuddled up on the couch. I want to drink my tea. I want to have my glass of wine and I want to put on my show and I want to watch a movie and I want to do nothing. I want to read a book. I want to go for a walk. Like, I want to just, one thing that I've been trying to do a lot of is like, what do I feel like doing right now in this moment? Like, what do I want to do right now? Do I feel like going for a walk? Do I feel like doing nothing? Do I feel like working? Do I not? What do I want to do? And like, how does that add and like support the best version of you that you become?
So true. And for me also, I feel like, I've always been the life of the party, right? People love having me around. So I don't blame them. Like, I mean, my energy is desirable. So it's not their fault for them wanting me. But then I also went from this phase where I used to really love being around people. I used to host dinner, like every Friday night I would cook and my friends would just bring drinks and would be chilling and drinking and
That's
eating.
fun.
Every summer I would throw like,
I get lost in the mail. I think I got lost. In the mail. I'm confused.
Yeah, it came to Canada while you were in, I don't know, somewhere in America, because we can't keep up. So, it's probably piled up with all your mail that you haven't opened up yet on your travels. But I used to throw pool parties like almost every month in the summer. I would throw 2-3 parties. Like I really loved bringing people together. I'll do game nights. I'll do slumber parties. Literally one time I made my friends buy onesies and do like a girls' onesies night with wine and all. And then I went from that to being like, I don't want to be around people. Like literally where I started loving being by myself and enjoying my company. And I'm like, I actually like chilling by myself. And in my new place, before it had a fire, I created my balcony in this cute, cozy area where I would just sit outside and I had a nice view, listen to my country music and dance by myself in my underwear on my balcony. And that just made me happy, like those little things. So when you tell me to get myself out of that comfort zone where I'm enjoying my own company, to come and just be in loud, annoying places that my vibe is not there, it's really you. Like, no, I'm having too much fun by myself. But there's something I want to ask, right? You shared about you have a big family, an amazing family, and also like divorce is in your culture, in your family, is not really acceptable. But then you also have parents who are separated. So how was your divorce process like when you were telling your friends and your family? Like, how did that go? How did it take the support? Because I think most people, when they're also thinking about getting divorced, they worry a lot about that, right? Like in Africa, the parents will be like, do you know, especially the moms in Tanzania, they'll be like, do you know how much shit I had to go through with your father and I still stick that out? You gotta stick it out. You gotta do this. And then your friends are like, but he's a nice man. At least he takes care of this. You might not find another nice man. Like all those shit where people are seeing because they know stuff from the outside. Like we can all present ourselves how we want to present from the outside, but you don't know what actually goes on in the inside and the things that we actually deal with day to day that made me want to make this decision.
Exactly. And I am pretty mindful of like what I say, especially right now when it comes to all of that. But I'm not going to name like anyone in specific, but but it was a lot of surprise. Like everyone was like, what? Like why? Because I'm not someone who airs out all my dirty laundry. Like I'm not someone who, shares all of the like the specific
ins and outs. Yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't. And there was a lot of just a lot of that. So there was like a lot of like shock and confusion and all that. And I had just gotten married, a couple years prior. So it was like, wait, what? Like, did you just get married? And so there wasn't a lot of understanding. There wasn't a lot of support. Actually, like I had specific friends that were very supportive and a lot of and some family that was supportive, but for the most part, it was constantly having to justify my decisions and why, and constantly trying to seek validation from people just so that people would understand me. And then eventually it was like maybe like a couple of months ago, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm done trying to get other people's validation. Like, I don't give a like, I really don't give a fuck anymore.
And
like,
that's your word for the year.
Fuck off. That's my word for the year, is literally as fuck off. And it's like, if it doesn't serve my highest and best good, like, fuck off. And that for me is a really empowering place to be in, because I don't want to live my life for other people anymore. Like, I want to live my life for me. And, you know, I will say, like, my ex-husband, he's an amazing human being. He's a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. Life goes in different paths. And that's also hard for people to understand. Like, that was hard for people to understand. Especially when you aren't privy to like the intricacies and like the things behind closed doors. It's really hard for people to understand. But I'm also not someone who's going to take that and blast that, because that's not for me to do, you know? And if I think like a supportive like friend or family member is going to support you regardless of what your choice is, even if they think that you're making the wrong decision, because at the end of the day, you have to know that people are always making the best decisions that they feel is the best decision for them, you know? And so it's been really challenging, and it's been a lot of like, you know, but like, do you see from my point of view? Do you see why? Like, do you understand?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But there's some people that just, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of done justifying my life to other people to begin with. And I'm going to do what I want to do. But like, I've never been like that. So that for me is like a whole new thing of like, wait, hold on. What do you mean? You're going to go and move to wherever you're going to move, or you're going to go and live wherever you're going to live. And, you know, you're going to make your own decisions independent of other people's advice. Like, people aren't used to, I'm not used to that. You know what I mean? I'm not even.
You're surprising yourself, and I like that.
Who is she? Like, who is she? Look at this girl.
I like when you change your life and you end up also surprising yourself. It really means that you are on the right path. Because if you're not surprising yourself as well, then are you really doing something right? Because I feel like the element of surprising yourself. And one thing, I come from a divorced family, and I've seen divorce a lot, and that's why I when people come to me and tell me they're getting divorced, I don't even ask why or anything. I ask, are you okay? Whose decision was it? Do you want to talk about it?
I say congratulations. I say congratulations, because even if it's something that you don't want, it is happening for your highest and best good always. Always. It's not always sad. There's so many misconceptions. Like, yes, it is sad in a lot of ways, but it's not always like the amount of devastating.
And it can be both. It can be sad and a happy moment.
Exactly.
Why can't it be both? Like, yes, I'm sad because this chapter of my life is closing, that I held so much dear and loved it so much, but I'm also happy of what's coming for me, what's in store for me. And I think that's what people don't understand. People don't understand that, because people assume when people are getting divorced, it always has to be ugly, or somebody cheated, or somebody did this. But you know, there's divorce because we have literally outgrown each other. We have different paths in our journey. We want to go different routes. Like, there's so many ways. And you say people were surprised because you had just recently got married, but are they forgetting the fact that you were also together for like a little bit longer before the marriage? It wasn't like you had just gotten together, then gotten married, and then here it is. But you were together for a long time. And the person who you were when you got together, the person who you constantly became, and the person who you were getting married, and the person who you are now are all different people.
Exactly.
And you have to navigate that. And
the
also
evolution of yourself, right?
Exactly. And people don't need to know the details of your fucking divorce to understand why you're doing it. Like, you don't get to even have insights or anything. You should actually be even happy that you have the privilege of me telling you that this is happening. Right? Like, that's a privilege. But all you're supposed to do is be there for me. Whatever insights you have, you are not there in our bedroom. You are not there behind those doors. You are there when we are together in events. You are there when it's all the good, the stories and the pictures and everything. You're not there otherwise, so you don't know, and you don't need to know. I don't need to tell you why. I don't need to. I don't owe you anything.
Exactly. 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 I think that that is like perfect advice for a divorce life, but also perfect advice in general. Like anytime you're going to make a decision, like, of course, like, the people in your life that love you the most only want the best for you most of the time, right? Most of the time.
But their version of the best of
Their
you,
version
that's
of
the
the best.
thing. Yes.
Exactly. And that is so important to remember. And I feel like everything you just said can be applied to every single scenario. Like you don't need to understand why I make this business decision. You don't need to understand why I want to travel 900 times in a year. You don't get to understand or whatever. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, one thing that I think all the time to myself is we are literally on a spinning globe in the middle of nowhere. Why does it all matter? Like just live in the way that you want to. And of course there's rules. Of course there's things that, conditions, like you were saying, you can't travel as much as you want to because of the government. Like, yeah, absolutely. Because if you probably break those rules, then see you later. You know what I mean? And you can't do that. Like, yes. So like there's things that you need to follow, but doing something that feels aligned to you and that lights your soul up, why not? We have such limited time here. We're just here to, if you really like, this is what I think about often when I'm by myself. Like, and maybe that's why I'm successful in the things that I do. I don't know. At the end of the day, while things are sad and, while there's like a lot of all these different things, like there's also so much power in just knowing that you can literally create anything that you want. Like if you want to go, one of my big dreams in life is to go and buy a villa property on the coast of Italy. That's something that I know one day I'll have. Not right now, but I know one day.
Listen,
why not?
I will come there and house sit for you when you're traveling the world. And I'll be your in-house sitter.
You can come and stay in my Italy villa anytime you want. But here's the thing, like we put conditions and caps on the life that we can create, but it's because of the things that people tell us we can or cannot do. But like, again, is that thing true for you? Can you do something? Like, where does that come from within you? You can do whatever you want. You can create whatever you want. But like, I also will say too, like making sure that you're doing it from an empowered way. Like my top 3, I worked with our friend Johnny. Okay. And he helped me go deep into life values and stuff like that. And my own core values. And my top 3 are kindness, care, and connection. If it doesn't have kindness, care, and connection, I don't want it in my life. I don't need it in my life. And it doesn't serve me. So see you later. That's life. That's personal. That's business. That's family. That's friends. Like it doesn't matter. That's the way in which the lens that I look through my life. And so I'm not sitting here saying like, go and do all of the bad things because that's your impulse reaction. And like, you really want to do that. Like, no, be a good person. You know what I mean? Be a good person. And also live your life for you, because you don't owe it to anyone but you to live that exact life that you want to. And I love that 90 Day went their version of the best you. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Their version of and that's what I love. Whenever somebody tells me, you can't do that, I'm like, nah, you can't do that. But I most definitely can, and I'm fucking going to. So don't put your insecurities, your whatever on me. I'm gonna do whatever. And if I fail, it's not failing. Like at least I went for it. Maybe I learned something from it, and I'm gonna implement that on the next shit I'm gonna do that you're gonna tell me I can't do that because I'm gonna do it because it makes me happy.
All that matters at the end of the day is when you get to like, people say this all the time. It can be a little cliche, but like you get to the end of your life, did you live it in the way that you want to? And if you can say yes, like I lived my life in the way that I want to, I don't regret a whole lot. When I look back, I really don't regret. I don't regret anything. I don't regret getting married. I don't regret the years that I spent in that relationship. I don't regret the memories we have together. I don't regret the life that we built together. I don't regret getting a dog together. I don't regret any place or destination we've traveled to. I don't regret any hardship that I've ever had in my life that's brought me to where I am. Like I am at peace. Like I am at peace. I'm not ready to I'm not ready to die because I feel like I've got a lot more left. But
me too.
Right. But like, I don't ever think that I will be at the end of my life and say, I really regretted like that life decision, because honestly, it's all building blocks. It's the next evolution in your spiritual and your life journey. Right. And we we are exactly where we are meant to be. And we're also exactly where we choose to be at every single moment, right? We choose our life. We choose our reality, whether we think that we're choosing or not. If you're in a job that you absolutely hate and you go to work every day and you're pissed off and you're this and you're that and you hate your drive and you hate your commute, while yes,
Change
it
it.
brings you a lot of safety, nothing is stopping you from trying something new. Nothing
Exactly.
other than the false
Exactly.
illusion of, but I have kids, or I can't do this, or I can't do this. But you know what? Don't you think your kids want to see you the happiest and most fulfilled version of you?
And
Yeah,
how are
they
they
do.
gonna learn to do what they desire if they're not watching you do it? And I
Exactly.
like that you say no regrets, because I am the same way. And even sometimes when I sit and I'm like, I regret that, and then I look at it like, I don't regret any relationship I've had. I don't regret any moves I've made,
No.
because they brought me, they taught me, they grounded me,
Yes.
they grew me, they gave me
Every evolution.
lessons. They
Every
I've
evolution of
learned
yourself.
shit. I have even been in those moments like, damn, Paula, can't believe you actually fucking did that and thought you're gonna get out of it. But it's just like at that moment I did it and it was fun. So when I look back at it, like, yeah, I learned something about it. Maybe that's not the path I want to head to or something, but it's all lessons in there. And that's why I always say, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do, because at the end of the day, I can say at least I tried, and sit there and wonder, oh man, what if I actually did that? What if I
Exactly.
actually went for it? What if we're not going to do
Exactly.
that? And
You
then
know-
Sandy says, that's it, do you and live your life. Yes.
Exactly. And the other thing too, like, so after my ex moved out, like, of course, like we used to share bills when we like lived in our house together. Right. So my mind automatically went to, even though business is amazing, like business is going really well. Like, I'm very grateful.
From 2 paychecks to 1 paycheck.
You're like, oh, okay, all right, how am I going to do this? So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm home 24/7. I'm home all the time. Why don't I just start dog sitting? I'm like, okay. But even that was like, oh, like, do you really want dogs in your house? And like, your house is going to, it's going to smell like dog and this, that. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm literally doing the best that I can to make sure that I can continue to live here and to not end up on the street or living back with my family or my parents or whatever. Like,
don't worry, we'll bring you to America. You want and
I'm ready. Willing and able. Ready, willing, and able. Let me.
But
come down
that's
there.
so true. Some people
Like-
stay in these relationships and marriages because of that fear of losing their comfort. Like, oh my God, we pay all the bills. Or some people are in relationships where he pays all the bills and they just do the little. And they're like, oh, if I leave, that means I have to take care of everything by myself. But then I'd rather do that and figure it out than be in a place that's not serving me anymore.
And that's hard too, though, because there's so many nuances to that, right? There's people that are in like severely abusive relationships that don't have the confidence to be able to do that, and not by their own fault, just by the
even
situation
family that supports, like,
They have no support.
there's a lot.
Or maybe they have like 3, 4, 5 kids. They've never really been out in the workforce because that was their, like agreement. You're gonna go out and work, and I'm gonna stay home and take care of the kids. And so like I definitely like empathize with that. And like the conversation we're having today, like we're both child free. Do you know what I mean? Like we both don't have to, right? And so we have like,
and we have supportive family. I tell people I only survived because that's why even me, like when I said I used to think about suicide, I do get suicide thoughts and wanting to end my life. But when I think about what it will do to my dad and the fact that my dad will go to any means to make sure I'm good, I have a father who's willing to help me. All I need to do is actually talk to him. So at least I have that. Some people don't have that. That's why they end up being that. So I have, sometimes when I get angry, I also have to remind myself, like, just because I can push myself or I have that strength or I have that support doesn't mean everybody has that. That's why I sometimes tell people, like, when you're ready, when it feels right for you, you will do the move. That's why I don't force people into getting out, like, in your own time. And for most of us, especially women, it just comes that day when you just wake up and you're like, today's the fucking day. I don't care.
You're like, today is the fucking day. But you know what? And that's at the end of the day too. I think about this all the time. you have to make always the best decision for you always, right? And you will know exactly what those decisions are, the best decisions for you. And so like, yeah, like I can never judge. Like I have like friends that make decisions that I'm like, oh my God, if I was in your shoes, I would never make that decision, but I'm also not living in their reality. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I just have to be accepting and supportive, and, you know, I'll be here when you need me, and like, you know, and that's it. And we'll call it a day. But like, if you can, I guess my goal with like everything that I do with my podcast, with my business, the content that I share online, everything, you know, it's funny that you just put up her mission is simple. Like, yes, and on a business level, to help creators feel valued, seen, and empowered to bring their voice to the mic and make an impact with their message, but also flip that on a human level to help human beings feel valued, to help people feel seen in their problems and their challenges, and empowered to make the changes that they want to make in their life, and to live outside of the box, to live outside of the four walls that people have painted us in because of who and how we are, that you can make an impact with your own message in whatever capacity that looks like in your life. It doesn't have to be just through podcasting. It doesn't have to be through business, right? We get to decide our life. And I think you have two lives, right? Like you have the life that you live while you're asleep, right? In life. And then you have the life that you're living when you finally realize the life that you deserve. Those are my thoughts.
Amen. I like that. And it's funny that you said, oh my God, there's something that you said over there that I was gonna dive into. Okay, while I recycle my thought, because we have like 10 minutes left. Me and you, Simona, can really talk, and that's why I love like when we go into our deep conversations. I love having deep conversations because we go in. But I want to touch on a little bit while I get my thought back on how you transformed your company as well from Simona Costantini to Vault Production. So I want you to share a little bit about that for people. I know when it comes to rebranding, a lot of people get fearful of how that will be accepted. And as a person who rebranded my logo and my show once already, and I'm always looking for ways to rebrand, because I feel like as we grow, so does our business grow, and changes do happen. So share a little bit of why you decided to make that change and rebrand and give it a whole new look.
1000%. So I was thinking a lot about the types of messages that I like to share and talk about. And when I started to realize that there's so much more to me than the podcast production work that we do, and there's so much more to what I want to create that that extends way past just doing podcast production, I thought to myself, like, you know, I love having my agency and I love the work that we get to do every single day. And also I have an amazing team that helps me bring all of that to life, that are very involved in the client work that we do every day. And I wanted creators, when they work with our company, to feel like they're working, like they're already working with an agency that is top tier. And I have no problem saying that because I know it and I've had people tell me it. Like, I love that for
I'm owning it.
And I love that. But I want people to feel that way as well as my clients. Like, I want them to feel that way too. And so I got this tattoo earlier in January of last year, January 2023.
I remember.
And I was in at a mastermind retreat a little bit after that. And I kept thinking, like, you know, I really want to change the name of my agency because I want to take it away from being under my last name, because the mission is big. It's a big mission and it's bigger than, you know, just me. Like, yes, I'm leading it and I will always lead it, but I want to be that household name that people think about when we're doing podcast production. Like, that is my mission, to be, you know, the videos you see on YouTube, Pat Flynn, Think Media. Like, I want Volt Productions to be up there with the best of them. And not that I didn't think that my last name was, you know, strong enough to do that, because that's not what I'm saying at all. I just wanted it to be neutral. And I also wanted it to have this like jolt of energy and like this bump in, you know, in what you, in the power of what you create. So yeah, I wanted it to be electric. I wanted it to be exciting. I wanted it to be, you know, new, and I wanted to take it to the next level. And I really felt like it did that. When I first started producing podcasts, it literally landed in my lap. But then further than that, like, how do I word this? Like, it landed in my lap essentially. And I just named it Costantini Productions because I didn't have anything else that I was like, okay, I was like, let's just do that. So this rebrand is very intentional. This name is intentional. And I've been thinking about it for a long time. And so I'm just excited to see what we're going to be creating from here on out.
I love that. I even love the name Volt. Why Volt?
Volt, because you always have it's like a reminder that you are the volt of energy, that jolt of energy in what you do and what you create and in people's lives. And when you bring your own electricity to what you are creating, you help people, you create content that helps people actually feel something. And so I wanted that to be at the forefront, and that's why Volt.
I love that. Oh, and congratulations. I went on the website. I love all about it. And I am just excited for you.
Thank
and
you.
Everything that you're gonna do, because you're amazing and
Thank
you do amazing shit. You grind so hard. I see you, and I am just excited for this new journey of yours. Oh yeah, I remembered my thought when you said your friend did something and you're like, I don't get it, but then again, I'm not there. And that's one thing I've also started understanding, that because I used to say it would never be me, that could never be me, until I ended up doing certain shit that I actually said it would never be me, because I ended up being in a space that I never thought I would be. And I ended up making decisions that I say that could never be me. So since then, I was like, you know what?
It could always be me.
Yeah, because when you're not on somebody's shoes, you really can't tell until you're on those shoes and stuck, and you're like, oh,
Exactly.
wow, okay. So, but as we come to an end, because I see we only have 5 more minutes, and I love you so much. I always have amazing time talking to you. And, you know, shit happens. You're always welcome, because I feel like we have so many different conversations we can have, me and you, because we are all very deep people who like having this deep conversation. So you're welcome back on Shit Happens anytime. But as we wrap this up, you have 2 podcasts. I want you to shout them out and let the people know where they can find you. And also share a little advice for especially women. I want to just encourage women, and those women who are scared of transforming themselves, or in that space in between, not sure if they should or shouldn't, like just some nuggets for them to encourage them.
Love that. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Simona with 2 underscores Costantini, or the agency page, which is at Volt, VOLT .productions. If you want to connect with me on my my regular website, it's simonacostantini.com. And if you want to check out everything that we're doing on the Volt Productions website, it's voltproductions.co. So VOLT productions.co. So I would go to those 2 places. My podcast, my first podcast is Happiness Happens. And on that podcast, I help people understand what happiness means to them and help change the narrative within their own lives. We combine all types of conversations, whether it's about, you know, the science behind happiness, the mindfulness behind it, and ultimately how to achieve more of it. It's a super empowering podcast, and those conversations have gotten me through some of life's hardest moments. I'm very grateful for that show. The other podcast is called As It Relates to Podcasting. And on that podcast, each month I co-host a series with an industry professional to deep dive into one specific area of the industry. So for example, last month, the 4-part series we did was with Anthony, and we talked about SEO across 4 episodes. And the intention is that you would go through all of those episodes and be able to implement an SEO strategy that actually makes sense for you. So it's a podcast about podcasting, but I'm not just teaching people the fluff. We're going into it. My advice for women, after all the stuff that we've talked about today, the first thing that comes to mind for me is something that I say on Happiness Happens at the end of every single episode. And it's happiness happens when you least expect it. And I've literally clung on to these words so deeply, especially in the last few years, that, you know, the choice for happiness is always there. And it comes genuinely when you're least expecting it. So be open to the magic of life, be open to the possibility, right? And just be open to all of the beauty that you have within you on the inside and the outside, and everything that you're going to create. Your intuition will never fail you. Tap into it. And that would be my advice. Happiness happens when you're least expecting it.
Thank you. And I love that. And I also want to say, when it comes to your podcast, as it relates to podcasting, I love how you do the 4 series, like 1 month, 4 part. Like, I have not seen that in other podcasting, but also, again, maybe I don't check other podcasting.
No,
as
nobody
much.
else does it that way. That's my signature style, okay? No, just kidding.
I love it. I think it's time. I think it, you're next on my listening to your podcast and leaving a review. I've started this thing where I think I've already left a review on Happiness Happens. I just haven't done it on As It Relates. But and I feel like it's about damn time I come to Happiness Happens podcast.
Like, as a guest, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
I'll send you the booking link.
I've been waiting for Simona to invite me, but
you don't need
I think it's time I invited myself.
Invite yourself. I'm glad you invited
breaking down the door.
Come on down, sister. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk shit with Pete.
But thank you so much for coming on. It's always amazing having conversations with you. Thank you to Sandy, 90 Day Wins. Y'all go check out her podcast. I was a guest yesterday. I got interviewed on her podcast. She does amazing work. She was on the comment section chilling with us. For anybody who's watching live or is going to check the replays, go support, share, leave reviews, listen. That's how we succeed in the podcasting industry, okay? Until next time on Shit Happens, where shit always happens. Catch us next time. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Simona.
Shit happens.
Thank you for tuning in to Shit Happens, an integral segment of the innovative platform Talk Shit with Pete. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit subscribe and leave a review. You can find Shit Happens on YouTube at Talk Shit with Pete. If this served, share with friends or family who can relate. Remember, we all face challenges, but it's how we push past them that defines us. So, until next time, keep pushing forward. And remember, shit may happen, but so does growth. And you got this.